Well, hello everybody. I'm James Phelps. This is the CHEK blog, and I'm here today again with Warren Williams, CHEK Mentor, CHEK blog author, and founder of Warren Williams Coaching in the UK. We're back outside again, and it's a lovely day. I wish I was outside too, but it's good to see you, Warren. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, it's a little bit slightly cloudier today than the last time, but it's still quite sunny. So yeah, it's all good.
Great. Well, you've got an interesting topic to talk about today, and one I think our blog readers, viewers probably haven't heard about before. You're going to talk about sacred selfishness.
Yeah, it's a great topic, and yeah, getting right into it. You know, there's a saying about people being all things to all people, and a lot of that happens because we feel empty inside,
Mhm.
and we feel like we have to be people pleasers, and oftentimes we sacrifice ourselves to support other people, and nothing is ever enough. And most people will, they say give an inch, take a mile. These sayings come out because that's an actuality that people will always, if you give them more, they'd always take more, and people tend to only ever remember the last thing you do.
Mhm.
So if you did 1,000 good things and for once you say no, they only remember that time. So then you feel compelled to then have to do more things for them,
Mhm.
and you're sacrificing yourself. So sacred selfishness is because people always think, oh, you're being selfish. That's so bad. But no, it's like if you had a child and you devoted all your time and energy to that child, that's sacred selfishness. That's
Mhm.
selfish to a point where it's gratifying and supportive to, the mother. If a mother says, I need to eat for two, that's another form of sacred selfishness. She's focusing, no, I need more food than you right now. So that's a positive selfishness. So,
Mhm.
we always have this negative connotation to the word selfishness. But, self, we have to love and honor the self first, because, you can't help somebody unless you can help yourself. And, as Paul Chek says, um, you have to make sure that you can only see as many people as you can be fully present with.
Mhm.
And there's the other saying, you can't give what you don't have.
Right. Yeah.
So sacred selfishness for the listeners now, it's about how we build on making sure that we only help people when we are able to help ourselves. So, that saying, and again, I learned from the man, from Paul Chek.
Yeah.
I'm always going to keep quoting Paul Chek because,
Mhm.
he just lives this, and it's, such powerful, tools to use for clients, which is, your yes has no value until you learn to say no.
Yeah.
That's another form of selfishness.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if today you help someone, they expect you to be able to help them tomorrow. But once you say
Mhm.
no, then the next time you say yes, it's more valued.
Yeah.
So again, that's another example of sacred selfishness.
Mhm.
So another great saying from Paul, me first always.
Mhm.
So that's another form of sacred selfishness. And I'm kind of getting into it a little bit more now.
Yeah.
The problem that we have is a lot of people practice what we call the savior complex.
Mhm.
And the savior complex is what we kind of just spoke about, which is doing all things for all people, trying to save the world to make yourself feel like you're contributing to society. So that means that this is a third chakra issue. And again, it goes back to the chakras.
Yeah.
So, and the third chakra relates to the ego. And the ego isn't a bad thing. The ego is simply I am.
Mhm.
You're just expressing your self-autonomy.
Mhm.
So it's the ego, self-identity. This is, again, the third chakra. Ego, self-identity, personal power, and self-will or self-expression. So when people are not able to be sacred enough to have their own time and to put themselves first, what that does physiologically is it affects the third chakra. And the third chakra, for those who don't know location in the body, that's pretty much the solar plexus. So sometimes people that do this are typically empty inside. So they're trying to find a way that they can do something outwardly. So typically someone that's hollow inside themselves because they haven't developed themselves and because they can't master their own challenges, they focus externally on trying to help everybody else. So everybody has girlfriends or boyfriends, and I mean friends, not the partner side of it,
Mhm.
that give them great advice that they can't follow themselves.
Mhm. Yeah.
Everyone, girlfriends to other girlfriends will say, you should leave that guy. But I'm still in my bad relationship, but you should leave that guy.
Yeah.
and they're trying to give you advice that they can't take. So they're empty inside, and all they do is they run from person to person, throwing out as much advice as possible that they are unwilling to take. So they haven't developed their third chakra. And a lot of therapists or counselors typically have third chakra issues. And this manifests sometimes as digestive issues, heartburn, halitosis, which is bad breath because you're not digesting food, it's fermenting in the gut. And it also can manifest as back pain, because what happens is, because you're not expressing the energy that locates in that thought or in that zone, it manifests as stagnant energy in the body, and stagnant energy then manifests as pain. So sometimes you can have digestive issues, flatulence, or physical back pain, simply because there's a blockage in that area, and that blockage is manifested because you're so focused on helping the world because you know you can't help yourself, or you think you can't help yourself. So that's the problems that happen when you don't express your sacred selfishness. How do we now we understand that, how do we actually fill the void inside ourselves? Goes back to core values and or I values. So what we do is, and I know you know this, James, and Paul's spoken about this quite a bit, is we have to establish parameters for ourselves. So when we're talking about core values with sacred selfishness, I'm not talking about all the other stuff to do with becoming successful and core values that relate to eating foods that are right for you. We're just talking about the sacred selfishness aspect of that. So what we have to do is we have to establish core values or guiding principles for those who don't understand what core values are. Guiding principles that are important to you as your standards. So before I get into that, I remember there's a quote that this guy said. He said, "Don't set goals, set standards." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is amazing!" Don't set goals, set standards, because he said, if you set goals, they're for the future. If you set standards, it's right now. I was like, wow, that's powerful. So the standards that we have for our core values have to be things that we want for ourselves, that we know we need. So with regards to sacred selfishness, we would say things like, if you know your partner, you know, your physical partner, when they come home from work, they're always tired and always grouchy, and they always let it out on me, and I always sit there for an hour and take it, and then I find that I have to give them comfort, and it drains me, as an example. Then you establish a core value that relates to that. So you say, when my partner comes back from work, I am going to give him or her 10 really good minutes of my time, very high quality. I'm going to be attentive and, really, give good advice, but it's only going to be 10 minutes every single day because I don't have the energy. So now you're establishing a guiding principle that still allows you to support that person, but not to your own detriment. Right. So you establish a core value for that. So another core value when it comes to sacred selfishness would be, let's say and this happens a lot, there are a lot of people that they go to work and they're supposed to work 9 hours a day, and they end up working 11 and a half hours every single day because they just want to get more work done. Now, sometimes it's because the boss forces you to do so there's not much you can do with that. But sometimes you're doing it because you think, well, if I get more done today, I'll have more time tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. So you often find people are still doing the same thing every single day. So then you have to establish a core value, which is me time. So if you're going to do 11 hours of work today, then you have to make sure when you come home, you have to spend a specific amount of time in your me time. So you have to establish a core value that means my me time means I'm going to turn off my phone for half an hour. Yes, you're going to get business emails, but it's not life or death. You couldn't get back to that half an hour. So you turn off your mobile phone, and you create an altar for yourself in your environment. So you get things like essential oils. Now, the essential oils have to be specific, or should be specific to the third chakra. So some of the essential oils that you can get like an oil burner, and you get an essential oil and you pull it in an oil burner, you get a candle, you light it underneath. So you can get things like cinnamon and rose, because those two resonate on the same frequency as the third chakra. Now, when it comes to frequencies, everything has a frequency, whether it's a sound or a smell or a taste, it has a frequency. So when you're burning the oil, the oil is burning at a specific frequency, which is why you can smell it. That smell is a frequency. So you can get, cinnamon or rose, and you can burn that in an oil burner. And this is part of your me time. So you gather all that sort of stuff, you turn your phone off, and you have a magnesium bath, which is really good because it forces you into that doctor quiet. So you're supporting yourself first. And if you do that, and let's say you did that 2 or 3 times a week, and that only takes half an hour out of your day. And if it's 3 times a week, it's 1.5 hours out of your week. If you were to do that 3 times a week and you're now becoming comfortable by being all about me, what that does is it actually strengthens your resolve to support me. And if you support me, what that does is it actually strengthens that third chakra. And once that third chakra becomes stronger, it makes it easier for you to say no, to have the value for the yes, because most of the time you can't do it because you're so outgassing, as Paul says, that you don't have strength in that third chakra to make choices that are supportive to you.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do is you can get, like we said on the last talk, you can get crystals. Topaz is one crystal or gemstone, as well as yellow citrine, which is another crystal. And you can carry those around in your pockets, like we said in the last talk. And those resonate on the frequency of the third chakra. And again, it empowers you so you feel more comfortable to make choices that are supportive to you.
That's great. One of the things that sort of occurs to me to think about when you're working with clients and you're explaining this to them, and you say it's okay to be selfish, right? How do you break that? Right, you because you're right. You pointed out there's this association between selfish and bad, right? Selfish and negative. So how do you break that?
Well, first of all, I kind of do what we just said, which is talk about selfishness. And I say, right. So I say to them, what does selfish mean to you? And they oftentimes say selfish means I'm just all about me. And then I say to them, is that a bad thing? Yeah, because, and it's always, the selfish part is always because somebody else thinks it's a bad thing. It's never because they naturally just think it's a bad thing. They only think it's bad because of how other people view them being bad. Because it's like if you were, talking about something in a bad example, let's say you were in your garden and you were just shooting hens for the sake of it, just for fun. If no one else is around, no one knows it's bad. But if you're doing it and then someone sees you, then you react to how they perceive what you've done as bad. So it comes back to the same thing as selfishness. We only think selfish is bad because other people think it's bad. So I kind of established that with them first, making them understand that selfishness is only bad because of what you think other people will think. Once they understand that, then I say to them, when we're talking about selfish, we're just talking about me time. And once they understand me time means you're valuing yourself so that you can then go and help other people. Once they've established that in their mind, then the rest is kind of easy.
Yeah, and you mentioned I values. At the C.H.E.K Institute, for those of you who don't know, we talk about I, we, and all values. You want to run through that real quickly for our viewers?
Yeah, so, when we talk about I, it kind of relates back to the me stuff. So I is you support you first, every value that relates to you. So an example of an I value for you would be, my I value is I drink water for me. And that's pretty much an I value for that relates to you. A we value could be something that relates to your family, such as I want to spend more time at home because my husband is upset that we don't have our quality time together. So now that's a we value, a choice that you're making that supports you and another. Or you're a workaholic and your son or daughter never sees you. So you say, right, I need to finish work earlier so I can spend time with my daughter or son. That's now a we value. And then once you've established parameters for all the I values that are totally supportive to you, then you're able to have the presence of mind and energy to be able to have enough time or energy to then support a we. Because as Paul says, every relationship is 50% you and then 50% the other. So work on your 50% first, and then you can work on the 50% of that relationship in that example. Once you're able to establish your we, which is always you and another, which is you and your son or daughter, or you and your husband or wife, then you've built up a lifestyle that allows you to then expand outwardly, and then you expand into an all. That all could be your extended family, your family and friends. So an example of that would be you would spend more time going out with friends and family. As an example, you may call your friends, hey, yeah, let's all hang out together. I'm going to make a barbecue and invite everyone over because you now have enough money or time to be able to do that. So that's like a really quick example of I, we, and all. But you have to establish I first before you can establish a we, before you can establish an all.
Yeah. You can't give what you don't have.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And it seems simple, but again, like we said last time, simplicity is the key.
Simplicity is the key. Well, thanks again, Warren. That was great. I'm looking forward to doing it again next month.
Yep, cool. Thanks for having me.
Take care.